Hello everyone, this is VGTI, and I just blew my own mind thinking about Pikmin. Let me explain. I thought of a very interesting theory that might explain a lot of the strange enemies and occurrences throughout the games. And when I mean strange enemies, I'm talking about things like the Goolix, the Waterwraith, the Plasm Wraith, the Smoky Progg even. It's an interesting theory that might explain what's going on with these guys and what they're up to behind the scenes. My theory is that the Goolix is actually behind everything to do with these guys. Now, let me just preface this with all of this stuff connects to the Goolix, and I'm going to tell you why. The other day, I was thinking about Pikmin, and it felt like there was more I could discuss with this series. Like, there was some theory out there that, I just wasn't seeing. So I started thinking more in depth about the very mysterious enemies that you encounter in the series. The ones that have been a popular topic as of late, especially with the Yumi Bozu theory going on and everything. This theory that I have is an alternate version of the Yumi Bozu theory, where it starts out the same with the meteor and everything, but it might not be an Yumi Bozu. Or it could be an Yumi Bozu, and just the way that it does things is a bit different to how the actual theory goes. So, let me start explaining this theory to you guys. First off, I started thinking about the Smoky Progg, which is a hidden boss that you can find in Pikmin 1 at the Distant Spring. It's a pretty tough boss. It can kill your Pikmin instantly with the poison gas that trails off of its back, and it's pretty weird how you find it, honestly. If you get to the Distant Spring before day 15, you'll find it in an egg, and if you break the egg, the Smoky Progg comes out and goes towards your landing site and tries to terrorize your Pikmin. If there are any Pikmin in the ground, it'll uproot them by roaring. Now, some of you may be thinking, what does the Smoky Progg have to do with anything? Well, when I thought about the Smoky Progg, it made me realize that there are actually some strange similarities between it and the Waterwraith and Plasm Wraith. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized these similarities can't just be coincidences. They have to be hinting at something more, and that the Smoky Progg is probably connected to this in some way. So let's take a look at what these similarities are exactly. The Smoky Progg has two similarities to the Waterwraith. The first similarity is that they are located in the same area. You find the Smoky Progg in the Distant Spring, and you find the Waterwraith in the Perplexing Pool, which is obviously the Distant Spring, even though the geography has changed just slightly. So they are found in the same area. There's similarity number one. Similarity number two. The Smoky Progg has an ability to uproot your Pikmin by roaring. Any Pikmin planted in the ground will come up when this happens, or at least if they're nearby it. Now, the Waterwraith gives you an item when you defeat it. And what item is that? The Pluckaphone. Guess what it does? It uproots Pikmin without you actually having to go up to them and pull them out of the ground. Sounds pretty similar, doesn't it? However, the similarities don't end there. The Smoky Progg also shares one similarity with the Plasm Wraith. Now, granted, this might be a bit of a stretch, but it's just something I noticed. When you kill the Smoky Progg, you get a gold pearl. Gold. And the Plasm Wraith is made out of gold-like substance. Now, this may just seem like a dumb coincidence that doesn't mean anything, but once you connect all of these similarities together between the Smoky Progg and the Wraiths, you have to think that something more is going on here. Now, you might be thinking that my theory is the Smoky Progg becomes the Waterwraith, which becomes the Plasm Wraith. Well, you wouldn't be entirely incorrect, but the Goolix factors heavily into this theory, and I haven't mentioned why yet. This whole theory is based around what happens with the Goolix. And here's why. You see, in the Umibozu theory, it's stated that the meteor that Olimar crashes into in Pikmin 1 actually had something on it, and that when he crashed into it, this fell to PNF 404 with him. And the theory is that that thing that he crashed into that was on the meteor was actually in Umibozu. And the first form of this Umibozu is the Goolix, which you find in the impact site. My theory is going to tell this a bit differently. Yes, Olimar crashed into the meteor. On that meteor was the Goolix, and the Goolix fell to PNF 404 with Olimar. At this point, the Goolix is very angry at Olimar, and it wants revenge on him. It wants to kill him for stranding him on this planet, with no way to get off of it. So of course, Olimar finds the Goolix later on, early on actually, at the impact site. And he fights the Goolix with the Pikmin. The Goolix tries to kill him and his Pikmin, but fails. The Pikmin win, and the Goolix disappears. Now, we could assume that it's dead, but it's not. You see, my theory is that the Goolix is either some kind of extra-dimensional entity, or it's an Umibozu, whichever one. But whichever one it is doesn't matter, because whichever one it is, it's likely to have some kind of mysterious powers going on with it. These powers involve not dying when being killed, and being able to infect or possess something. So of course Olimar and the Pikmin defeated the Goolix at the impact site, and also note that this is the impact site, so the Goolix is there where Olimar crashed. Make the connections. Anyways, Olimar and the Pikmin defeated the Goolix. We can assume that it died, but it actually didn't. Instead, it disappeared back into the other dimension that it came from. Now, it wanted revenge on Olimar still. It's not going to take that defeat lightly. So it started exploring the planet, looking for things that it could possess to attack Olimar. And guess what it found? The Smoky Progg egg. You see, the Goolix infected or possessed, whichever one, it infected or possessed the Smoky Progg's egg, and thereby infected or possessed the Smoky Progg itself. So, of course, Olimar found the Smoky Progg later on at the distant spring, broke open the egg, and fought the Smoky Progg and won. But this isn't the Smoky Progg. This is the Smoky Progg possessed by the Goolix. So, when Olimar defeats the Smoky Progg, it doesn't actually die. It just disappears back into the other dimension. Now, at this point, the Goolix inside the Smoky Progg is very angry that it can't kill Olimar. It's tried twice now, and nothing's working. So it decides to stay underground at the distant spring and gather its power. Olimar said that the Smoky Progg is a larval form of a Mamuta, and I agree with him that it is. It's just something that he thought, and it's worth noting. But the Smoky Progg does not grow up to become a Mamuta. Since the Smoky Progg is possessed by the Goolix, it instead grows into something different over time. It becomes the Waterwraith, and this explains the strange similarities between the Smoky Progg and the Waterwraith. But, of course, the theory does not end there. As we know, Olimar defeated the Smoky Progg, and since it has the weird abilities of the Goolix, it cannot die. So it stayed underground in the distant spring, and gathered power, and became the Waterwraith. Then comes Pikmin 2. Olimar comes back to the planet, and he goes into the submerged castle with Louie. They find the Waterwraith. And, of course, the ship states that it's anchored to another dimension, or so it seems. If the Goolix is an extra-dimensional entity, then this is why. So the Waterwraith chases them around the submerged castle, trying to kill them. This is the same Goolix that wants revenge on Olimar, and this is what the Smoky Progg has grown up to become since it's possessed by the Goolix. It tries to kill Olimar, but of course it fails, and Olimar defeats it at the end of the submerged castle. But of course, again, it does not die. It just goes back to the other dimension to recuperate. Now this part of the theory is where we can start connecting things to what happens in Pikmin 3, and it all makes sense, so hear me out. Olimar defeats the Waterwraith, which, as we know, is the Goolix-possessed Smoky Progg. It goes back to the other dimension to heal its wounds and figure out what it's gonna do. Now at this point, the Goolix realizes that killing Olimar won't solve anything. Even if the Goolix does manage to kill Olimar somehow, it won't be able to get off the planet. That's why the Goolix is angry, because Olimar crashed it onto the planet with no way of getting off of it. So the Goolix shifted its plans. It's not bent on revenge and focused on killing Olimar anymore. It's focused on getting off the planet somehow. And this leads to the events of Pikmin 3. Kopai is having a food shortage, and they send their 3 intrepid explorers, Charlie, Brittany, and Alf, out to planet PNF 404 to gather food for the planet, so that they don't starve to death. And as we all know, and as we all remember quite well, at the beginning of Pikmin 3, Charlie, Brittany, and Alf don't even crash into a meteor. For some reason, a mysterious force pulls them down to the planet, and the narrator of the game references this mysterious force at both the beginning and the end of the game without ever explaining what it is. This mysterious force was, of course, the Goolix. After its defeat in Pikmin 2, it's been gathering so much power that it has the ability to now pull ships down out from outer space down to the planet. And, of course, we know why it wants to do this. The Goolix is trying to find a way to get off the planet now. So, when it sees the SS Drake flying to the planet, or when it senses it, however it does it, it drags them down to the planet so it can use their ship. But guess what else happens? Olimar and Louie arrive there as well. But this wouldn't mean much normally, because the Goolix is focused on the Kopaites. But something happens. Olimar finds the Kopaites' cosmic drive key and takes it for treasure. And the Goolix finds this out somehow. It knows that Olimar has their cosmic drive key, so guess what it tries to do? As we know, the Goolix has powers to possess or infect certain things, and that is exactly what it tries to do to Olimar in Pikmin 3. This is why during the final part of the game, the Plasm Wraith does not try to kill Olimar, but rather keep him prisoner and take him back from you. This is because the Goolix is going through a gradual process to try to infect and possess Olimar, and once it does this, it can stow away on the Kopite ship because Olimar has their cosmic drive key. It all works out for the Goolix, and this way, not only does he get revenge on Olimar by possessing him, he also gets off the planet that he's been stuck on for ages now. Of course, the time between Pikmin 2 and Pikmin 3, the Goolix became the Plasm Wraith, as it grew in power so much that its appearance also changed. And remember, this is still the Smoky Progg that is possessed by the Goolix. This is just how much it has changed over time as it has grown with power. Back to the theory, though. So, the Plasm Wraith was trying to possess Olimar, and by doing so, it could stow away on the Kopite ship since it had their key. The Kopites wouldn't think anything about Olimar handing them their key and wanting to get off the planet. But little would they know, Olimar is possessed by the Plasm Wraith. Or at least, this was the Wraith's plan. This is what it was trying to do in Pikmin 3, but of course the Kopites picked up the Cosmic Drive Key signal and found Olimar by extension. The Plasm Wraith did not expect the Copites to find its location and take Olimar from him, so of course its plan was going to be ruined. It chased the Copites through the caves of the Forbidden Oak, trying to get Olimar back. And when it finally couldn't, it just fought the Copites, trying to beat them so it at least could still go through with its plan to possess Olimar and get off the planet. But of course the Copites defeat him, and he does not die, because this is the Goolix we're talking about. It doesn't die no matter what form you beat it in. And this is why when the protagonists fly away at the end of the game, you see the Plasm Wraith standing on top of the tree, looking very pissed off. And of course we know why it's so pissed off, because it's stuck on the planet again. Olimar got away, and the Goolix is once again trapped on the planet, wishing it could get off. And that, my viewers, is the theory. So, let's do a quick recap. Olimar brought the Goolix down to the planet, and wanted revenge and wanted to kill him, so it tried to do so in multiple different ways, mainly by possessing a poor little Smoky Progg, and each time Olimar defeated it, it just kept growing in power, till eventually it changed its plan, not to kill Olimar, but to get off the planet. And to do so, it did what it did in Pikmin 3. What do you guys think of this theory? Does it make sense? Tell me if there are any holes in it, all of that good stuff. I just thought about the similarities that the Smoky Progg shares with the Wraiths, and I realized that there's more going on with that enemy than we realize, and that if we connect it with the Goolix, it all makes sense. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it made you think, because it certainly made me think. See you guys in my next video.